Drink with James, episode 11. I'm alone. It's just you and me today. Rich isn't coming. I'm not at a fashion show. It's just us. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna get a little bit drunk and we're gonna answer some questions. Speaking of questions, we don't have enough. If you have never asked a question, if you're like, remember like you used to listen to drive time radio and people would call in and be like, long time listener, first time caller? There's a lot of y'all out there that are watching this shit, but you're not asking questions. But it doesn't run just on whiskey. I need questions to answer. So if you could please ask questions in the comments below, somewhere like here. If not there, you can email Timothy at Fohr right here. We need more questions, so please do that. The other thing is, last week I had Rich in here, as I'm sure you all saw. Someone said that Rich was very hot, which I personally agree with. But like a little bummed out that nobody ever said that I'm handsome. My mom thinks I'm handsome and she like totally thinks I should have a girlfriend. But apparently none of y'all do, so. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Rich was sitting right here last week and he gave y'all a gift, completely free. He built something that takes your Instagram, looks at every hour of every day of the week, and tells you when is the best time for you to post, using data for however long you've been a member of Fohr. So if you haven't seen it, I'm not gonna tell you how to see it now. You have to go watch the last video, which is Tim's gonna put right here. But it's incredible, check it out. Everybody loves it. If you haven't seen it, sorry, but you can see it in this video. Grow your following. Next question. No, I'm just kidding. So you're doing a lot of sponsored content first, so that's awesome. Like you already have brands interested. You have good case studies for why it's effective to work with you on your channels. That is awesome. You know, one tip might be to do less sponsored content. There's this thing in advertising called share of voice. And what it basically means is how much of a percentage of what you're saying is that brand going to own. So if you post, let's say you posted 20 times a day on your Instagram, right? Let's say there's one person who posts 20 times a day, there's one person who posts 1 time a day. What do you think would be more valuable for that brand? Buying one of someone's 20 posts or buying the only post that someone is doing a day? It's gonna be this one, right? Because they have 100% share of voice that day. That day, the only Instagram that person publishes is gonna be sponsored by that brand. So in the same way, if you're doing 5 sponsored posts a week, brands are gonna feel like it's very crowded, you know, and like they're just gonna be one of a bunch of sponsored posts that you're doing that week. So one idea might be to say you only do 1 sponsored post a week and you create some scarcity where naturally it doesn't exist because you can always just post another Instagram, right? But if you say, I'm gonna do an experiment for a month, I'm just gonna do 1 sponsored post a week. Well, now all of a sudden you have brands fighting for that one spot and maybe you can push your rates up then and start to do 2 or 3 a week after that. But that could be a nice way to initially push up your rates. I need more whiskey. Still drinking the cheap shit here, y'all. Feel free to send whiskey to 73 Spring Street, Suite 205, New York, New York, 10012. I'm a Scotch drinker. Anything over 18 years will be fine. Okay, do you have to put hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored on every post? First of all, Tim, will you put a disclaimer down here that says like, this is not legal advice so that we don't get sued? I'm not a lawyer, believe it or not. But I did go to college with one. No, so we actually just had a whole For You about this and I learned a lot from someone was a roommate with in college who came and spoke to us, who's a very talented lawyer. And basically after reading the FTC, you do not have to put hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored on every sponsored post, but you do have to disclose every sponsored post as such. You can use natural language. You can say, I partnered with X brand. X brand wanted me to talk about their new collection. I worked with X brand to do this. That is totally fine. You can use that natural language. If you just want to be 100% safe and clean and totally sure, you can use hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored. You can't use hashtag spawn. That actually doesn't mean anything because it's not a fucking word. So don't do that. But natural language. The other thing is you do have to disclose on every platform. So if you did have hashtag ad in your Instagram, but it got cut off in your Twitter post when you push the post to Twitter, that's not allowed. You have to disclose on each platform. So make sure that those disclosures are there. But you can use natural language, but just make sure that your readers won't be confused. They know that you have a relationship and that this brand has asked you to do this for them. Would your users be upset if they found out that you were being paid? And I think most time, if you are explicit about the fact that you have a relationship and you're smart about taking the kinds of, working with the kinds of brands that you would want to work with anyway, then your followers should be happy with it. You should be bringing them the kind of advice that they're coming to your blog or Instagram or YouTube or Pinterest or whatever it might be for. So I don't think it should be this problem, and you shouldn't be ashamed to say that. Look, you're running a business and you're trying to make a living, and that's understandable. And this is the way that most influencers make money, and I think everybody understands that. So be okay with it, but just make sure you are disclosing those relationships. So there's a saying in sales that there's no no's in sales, only yeses and soft yeses. And I think if someone hasn't emailed you saying, please stop emailing me, I'm not interested, then keep emailing them. It's a funny thing with email that you have to catch someone at the right time. And I think persistence is honestly something that is respected. We're about to close a client, and we just looked into some details. We had sent them 667 emails and met with them 4 times. And we're finally going to have them on board. They're awesome. We're super excited. We'll tell you guys about it later. But that's the kind of persistence sometimes it takes to get the deals that you want. And there was this, very famous entrepreneur and investor who somebody had asked, what's the one thing in common with every successful person that you've met? Is it smarts? Is it right place, right time? Is it a genius mind for strategy? And he said, the only thing that was similar between all of these successful people that he knew and worked with, hundreds throughout his career, was that they didn't give up. That's really the only thing that matters, is this just who can keep going, who is willing to do the work and continue to work and put the time in to be successful. Because this is not easy. It's not easy to build a business that can sustain you and your family and your household off of content that you create. It's really, really difficult. And I think that people underestimate that. We don't. We know how hard it is, and we know how talented y'all are, but some people won't succeed. Most people won't succeed. And a lot of that will be that it just got too damn hard and people gave up. So I think if you want something, you go after it, and there shouldn't be any number of emails that are too many emails to send to a brand. Because if you really think you can help that brand and you really have an idea that you think is going to benefit them, then you should email them until they hear your idea. Yes, I will do a closing statement, Timothy. Questions? I need more of them. You guys want them answered? Look, this thing doesn't run on whiskey alone. I do need a little bit from y'all. I feel like it's all give, give, give. I'm giving you all this information and I'm not getting any fucking questions back. So as much as I like getting drunk at 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, is today Thursday? Yes. I need some fucking questions. I need you guys to ask questions. Anything, it doesn't matter. Send it in, because this show runs on whiskey and questions. And my hair, which I just got cut, and it looks great. Thank you.